just want to see us, make sure we're on.
Yes, we are. I just got the
Oh, you
notification.
did? But do you see us talking? Yes,
Mm,
there we go. Okay. All right, guys. Hello, welcome to channel 27. It's been a long time since we've had Jenny Moonstone here with us today. So hello, Jenny. Jenny is a tarot reader and she does wonderful readings. I go to her for all my readings. If you're new to this channel, make sure you subscribe to Jenny's channel, Jenny Moonstone. Just Google her name and it will pop up on. And
right.
she's on my act. She's on the people that I subscribe to as well. And if you're new, Jenny is my sidekick. She's with me usually once a week. So she's great, and she's going to talk about some interesting things today. I am a Vedic astrologer / life coach. So we work together and mix tarot and mix politics, all kinds of interesting topics together. And that's channel 27. So, Jenny, how are you?
I'm fabulous, Heidi. I feel like it's been forever. I feel like we haven't done a show in like, what, 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
I know it's been a long time.
It's been a while.
Life
Is busy, crazy things. Things happen so quickly. There were a few things I really wanted to talk about today, a few buzz points. Number one, Donald Trump discussing the addition of a sixth military branch known as the Space Force. So as you can see by the thumbnail that Heidi has put up there for you, this is a kind of, I feel like this is kind of a step in disclosure. There's no doubt. I mean, there's overwhelming evidence to support that there has been a space force for many years. So I think that this very public announcement of the presence of a space force is just a way to introduce that already existing concept into the populace so that we can then start to really, begin the process of really understanding what that means. So what I really want to know what you initially thought, what ran through your head when you heard of the Space Force.
Cold start. Why do you have to start with me?
I gotta hear it.
Oh, God. Okay, so I'm a realist. Okay,
right.
Space Force. I don't know.
We need a force in space, Heidi.
Of course we do, but I'm still in. I hate to say that my mind fluctuates what I think about space, especially after meeting Jenny. So
right.
I have to say that, I keep my opinions open. Sure, great if our space system is like what they say. Who the heck knows? I think it is a way to control certain things once again, like everything else. So I am very hesitant to say much about it because I don't know enough about it yet. It's too new, I would say. And, I don't believe anything unless I have facts. That said, something that I don't have facts about, I'm not going to put much effort, time into it. That's just me, but it's good to hear about it, which is why I like your opinion.
Well, thank you. And, I really just wanted to know what you thought about it because I know that you are a Trump supporter, and he is actually coming at this Space Force thing from an interesting angle. There are a lot of people in Washington, D.C. That are actually opposing his particular angle with the Space Force because, and I mean, listen, I'm still researching it. There's still a lot of things I'm trying to figure out. But if the fact of the matter is we've had a Space Force for quite a while, why now, what appears to be a shift in command is essentially what it looks like is happening here. There are people that oppose his angle with the Space Force because he could be taking it in a direction that they didn't intend to take it from the get-go. So that kind of, when you get a new manager, there's a new boss in town and they take the project and do something completely different with it. And another interesting thing is that people have this idea that what we would consider a Space Force, if it already does exist, would be handled by the Air Force, right? I mean, the skies and, up and away, that sort of thing. The fact of the matter is that the Navy, US Navy, actually has just as much, if not more, invested in space exploration. And so I sent you a few patches that I thought were really interesting. And we can screen share that whenever you get around to it.
Wait, you're gonna screen share it.
Oh, me? Okay. How do I? Okay. Oh, wait a second. They're actually not on my computer. They're on my phone.
Wait, hold on. I have an idea. Let me go to, gosh, look at us.
Okay, I just turned the chat on. Hi, everybody. Now I can see your comments.
Also, today we're going to do some Q&A with the rods. So this is a great question to ask the rods because, shoot, you know what? I didn't send it on my email. So
that's okay. Well, basically what I wanted to say was that, you know,
start talking and I'll figure out a way.
So there are these patches, okay? They're all official. I looked into it to see if these were, you know, just an artist, you know, messing around with the idea of insignia and military, you know, memorabilia. But really, these are actual patches to symbolize these various Black operations, or otherwise known as highly funded secretive operations, that depict various wizards and wizard-like archetypes, magicians, cloaked figures, lots of sinister imagery, very sinister visuals. And this is the military. These are military operations that very blatantly look to be employing various occult sciences into the frontier of space travel, space exploration, and oceanic exploration. So what I've really been saying, and I talk about this on my own channel, is that our concept as a populace, our idea of outer space, is vastly going to change in the coming months and years. And I think what we're in the middle, the very beginning stages of here, is understanding that and sort of introducing that into the population. Yeah, see, there it is. So we have a lifetime of silence. Oh, okay. So these are the wizardy ones.
So go to the other ones.
No, this is fine. I really want people to see this. I mean, this Gandalf, sort of Hermes, Trismegistus, you know, the wise magician, sort of, you know, pulling on the strings of the world that he looks down on. And these are supposed to be, you know, military operations. What are they talking about magicians and this and that for? So these are just questions that I invite people to ask. And it's going to become very relevant. It's a real question on a lot of people's minds right now, is what is the Space Force? What does that mean? What methods of exploration are they, you know, experimenting with? What do they already have? I tend to think that whenever something is introduced into the public, they're actually working on a kind of lapse, a time lapse, to where they introduce things to the population a good 20 or so years after they have already tested it, you know, understood it, you know, and then they let it, oh yeah, you guys, this is something new technology. A good example of this would be nanotechnology, otherwise known as programmable matter. They've had a patent on that technology for the better part of a decade, but only now are people really discussing it and its many applications. So this is an example of, you know, them revealing to us this, you know, what seems to us to be new and these new ideas, but really they've had it. The Space Force has been in existence for a very, very long time. And my question is now, where are we going with it? Why does Donald Trump want to have this sort of American dominance, I'm paraphrasing, dominance in outer space? And why are there so many people that are avidly opposing this? And so that really kind of brings me into the whole, an analogy is kind of what's happening at the wall right now, on the southern border of the United States. So what are your thoughts with everything?
I think this, well, as I'm looking at this, first of all, so these are like legit. You're telling me these are
yes, real? No, these are real. These are real. You can buy these online. They're, you know, they're made by the military. They're stamped as official. I mean, these are real.
Right.
They love to do this. There's a kind of arrogance in the military. I'm sure you're you know, you've seen it. And I'm not saying that people in the military are arrogant, but at these very So at these very censored levels where they're, black operations and they can't talk about it, their way of sort of flaunting it is these various sort of in your face, secret, not so secret
Yes.
sigils. Okay. This is, they love it. They love to flaunt it in their own way, kind of like the Podestas and their art. Okay. It's their way of stamping, what they're doing, but not being super, not revealing any classified information. They're just messing with us, toying with us. So,
I think that it's, they do flaunt it. I mean,
they do.
Like,
and they think we're stupid.
They do. And I think that, this is where people need to open up their eyes. I think what it said there about the stars was interesting, pathway to the stars. But I do believe that Donald Trump and a lot of elites and everybody else gets astrology readings. Also, I think they follow this kind of stuff that we do. They say it's wrong and it's bad and it's this and it's that because they don't want everybody else to use these secret tools. Because if you know these tools and you know astrology and you know how to use divination and you know how to use tarot cards, you are ahead of the game. And that's just my opinion.
Did somebody in the comments just say that John Podesta was on an episode of Ancient Aliens?
No, but he looks like an ancient alien.
He is just the worst kind of parasite ever. Well, here's the thing. If that's the case, and I don't know if that's true or not, but it does fit the bill with what's going on, is that everybody has to try to understand that there are many controlling factions, but one of their techniques that they employ to sort of shift the human emotional current in whatever direction they want it to go is they will monopolize a concept. They will monopolize an idea such as aliens, UFOs, the secret space program, this sort of thing. They will present to the populace a very specific, nicely packaged, labeled, packet. This is where we came from. This is the secret space program. They want very much to get ahead of the narrative and get ahead of free thought and try to let us know what it is for, their version of it. So John Podesta doesn't surprise me in the slightest because he's really, really into the UFOs and the Greys and all of that stuff. And Tom DeLonge from Blink 182 and the whole, the Corey Good and the Blue Avians and all of this, all of a sudden people are coming out and this disclosure and all the secret tech is going to get released. People listen, and I'm really not 100% decided on what's true and what's not, but moving forward, people are really going to have to rely on their knee-jerk reactions and their intuition, their own research, to define what's going on here, because there are a lot of traps. We have to ask ourselves, what do they have to gain from a populace that has a specific understanding of a space force? And what I mean by that is I think that John Podesta and his people, the people that want, the satanic pedivores, as we call them. This is the first and last time I'm going to use that term on this show because I don't want to get banned. But when we try to look at what they would have to gain from monopolizing an entire world of the way that people understand UFOs and outer space, what do they have to gain? They want very much the same thing that they want on planet Earth. They want to have control. Okay. They want to have control of the funnels. They want to have control of the points where people come together. They want to know everybody's documentation. They want everybody's data. It's just as above, so below. What they've done on Earth, they want to do, and what they've been doing in space. There is a chance that their plan has been disrupted as a result of this disclosure that Donald Trump's giving us. And maybe the direction that he wants to go in is vastly different from where they initially wanted it to go. So, we all see him battling so hard for the wall and, this huge outpouring of human emotional distress because of these pictures of children and parents being separated. Not only has that been a protocol set in place for years, but this is a very strategic sort of loose harvesting move on the part of the deep state to get everybody to fight on a personal and political level to fight against border security because they're so upset and they're so triggered by what Donald Trump is supposedly doing single-handedly. He's responsible for this, right? So what I am suggesting is that the separation of children from parents has a lot more to do with the controlling and identifying of human traffickers and at-risk children. So all of these kids, how do we know? I mean, it seems totally plausible to me that the southern border is a primary hub of human trafficking. And so why wouldn't you want to at least temporarily separate children from people? They're known as coyotes, and they smuggle children. And I'm suggesting that there's a possibility that in the Space Force, we know we've done a show on Leak Project, you and I, with Rex, where we talk about these slave colonies on other planets. And I think that there's a possibility that this intergalactic market that has been in place for a very, very long time, there is a possibility that management is changing and that they will not be allowed to use various outer space funnels to traffic intergalactic commodities, such as human beings, such as all different kinds of chemicals, raw minerals, gold, you know, all of these things that are useful on a cosmic level. Everybody uses gold. Everybody uses and wants and has an interest in the elements and the resources on planet Earth. So I think that, you know, not only has the Space Force been around, but I think we are witnessing a huge shift in management, and it's a war. I mean, this could be what, you know, a huge facet of what this whole, you know, war on between the DNC and, you know, all of this leaking coming out about elite pedophilia. I think it's really all connected, you know?
I agree with you.
So I know I've been babbling like crazy, but I really, really just wanted to get that out there.
No, and I'm glad you did, because, you know, I follow a lot of the Q posts and I follow a lot of like Michael Trim. He watch him because he was an immigrant, and, you know, I'm not going to say much about immigration because I don't feel the same way as Donald Trump. Like me personally, I would be hiding all kinds of people in my basement if I could, right? So, but they wouldn't even want to be in my basement. My basement is scary. All right. But regardless, I don't have the same views on immigration like a typical conservative. Okay. But I know how the left and how the previous administrations use the trafficking and what they do with the kids is just, you know, not saying the president or anything, but the whole system, what has gone on, and it's clear as day what has happened with these kids. Some of these kids are, and even Michael Trim was an immigrant. He was an immigrant, and he can state this exact. He thinks it's all has to do with trafficking, and 100%, like, you're spot on. I think, Jenny, 100%.
Well, you know, and I'm all for, you know, the proper protocol for immigration. I mean, this really is. I mean, when you compare what life must be like to some people, you know, south of the border, how they might experience life, and then they know that there's this American dream, which is real and alive, and they want a better life for their families. I completely understand that. I support it. This country is so great and so amazing because of our diversity. And, you know, and I'm all for it. However, unfortunately, because of past presidents and past lawmakers, the border and the issue of crossing the border has become a very vulnerable spot. It has become so corrupted. I mean, in the sense that you think of MS-13, you think of people that are coming across the border that have absolutely no business. Don't think for 1 second that the border isn't dotted with controlled, bought out agents. Right. You know, American, are you kidding me? There are people.
It happens in freaking prisons, for God's sake.
Exactly. It happens everywhere so, you know, in the office at, you know, Home Depot, there's things going from the lowest level to the highest level. People can be bought and paid for. So the issue really comes down to a question of morality and the integrity of the people that are manning this wall. It comes down to people. It comes down to human beings. If a family wished to cross the border, knowing full well that the standard protocol is a temporary separation from their children, wouldn't you want to take the proper steps to ensure that you could prove in some way that you were that child's parent or guardian legally, that you had some kind of connection to this child that was deemed very important? Jeff Sessions is pushing for genetic testing, DNA. Okay, you're going to come to this country, you have 5 children with you. If you cannot prove to us, we'll pay for the test for you. If you cannot prove that you are this child's parent or somehow their legal guardian, if you have some kind of documentation, if you cannot prove it, you are now going to be charged as a human trafficker. It all goes back to the executive order that was signed a few months ago by the president. This all seems very calculated to me. And of course, we have to look at those that are screaming the loudest. We look at the people on the left. We look at Nancy Pelosi. We look at, Maxine Waters, all of these people screaming racism and injustice and xenophobia and bigotry. The fact is that their wells are drying up because their guys that they had dotting the border that were bought and paid for are being taken out by insiders that know that guy's a gatekeeper. That guy's a bad guy. Mm-hmm. And they're just buckling down. It's a buckle down, focused attack on the funnels and the assets of the traffickers. And they don't like it because the DNC and the traffickers of this country are like this. Even some Republicans, listen, this isn't a left versus right. This is good guys versus bad guys all across the board, So I hope that makes sense, because it's just been bothering me because everyone's like, oh, ripping children from parents' arms. Like, are you kidding me? Are you joking?
And those freaking pictures in the cages were from the Obama administration.
They were from the Obama. Some of those pictures.
It was about that.
Right. It was a staged protest. Jennifer Lopez and a bunch of other psycho celebs peddling the same images on repeat on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. And it's like, they really think that we're dumb, and they are desperate. The desperation is so telling. They're terrified because really at the end of the day, this is about human commodities. And I feel that it's the same thing when we're talking about a space force. The space is a frontier. There was a treaty called the Outer Space Treaty of 1967. And this treaty outlined that no countries were allowed to impose on any other country's exploration or means of exploration. So basically, there's a written treaty that if any military presences or private presences meet in outer space, no matter what either one of them is doing, the other does not have the right to interfere. To me, this sounds like a green light for trafficking, intergalactic or interstellar trafficking. So you see what the deep state or the black operations are doing up there. If the Russians come along or the Chinese come along, they are absolutely not allowed to interfere. They're not allowed to do anything about it. So, I mean, that's just
time that you ask the rods.
Yes, ask the rods.
All right. So if anybody doesn't know what these are, not only do I do Vedic astrology, Jenny and I use these wonderful, fun divination rods. My dad actually makes these. So to order them, you can either go on my website, oneofakindbyheidi.org, and it gives you my dad's email address. Also his email, if you want to order rods, it's bill@pagosiexcavation.com. And spell it out. It's an email address on the website. So I'll type it and put it in the comments below. But these rods, okay, I'm going to say, I'm in case you're new, I thought these were hocus pocus, okay, but they are fun. They're for entertainment purposes only. You can't live your life off of answers from the rods. Trust me, Jenny and I have tried. It doesn't work, and they do mess with you if you abuse them, okay, and you abuse the powers with these rods. So you have to be cautious at like how you, or they just won't answer. I mean, it just is, they'll mess with you. So it's fun. All right. Great. Okay. I see some really good questions. And actually, after Santos Bonacci was on my show, and I'm seeing, is there a firmament? And I do want to know. Yeah.
And what do you say? How do you feel about it?
I don't know. I mean, I'll just tell you this. I can't even believe I'm going to say this. But I believe that all I can say is how I feel. Okay, I have not flown to outer space. I've never been in a spaceship. I can't see, so I don't know. Like, I will never say, oh, this is how it is, because I would never do that. Why? Because I don't know. Unless I was married to somebody that worked at NASA, that's probably the only way you would ever figure this out, and they still probably couldn't even tell you. So
Right.
to make a long story short, I'm open, and I'm open to listening to all the stories about what it possibly could be, and period. So we'll just leave my opinion at that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But when I did hear Santos talk, and when he talks about the firmament, say the word again, because I'm not going to be able to say it tonight. I can
Firmament.
Okay, so yeah, when we say that, that's where he says the nakshatras are.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense to me.
Also, what he says where Uranus is. I have Uranus in the first house. When he talked about that, and when he did the show on this, I literally had chills. Like, I can't even explain it to you.
Huh.
Ask the question.
Okay, so just so everybody knows, again, these, case by case basis. I play with the rods all the time. It's a lot of fun for me. I enjoy it. But okay, so is a Space Force a pre-existing organization? My rods are they're so affected by the computer right now. It's like not even funny.
What do you mean? Why?
Well, if there's like a cell phone or a computer, these are really, really sensitive to that for some reason.
Okay.
So I have to just
mine aren't. Mine just answer anywhere, any place. Like I said, I think I could be hanging upside down and they're gonna answer.
Just wills them into answering. Answer me.
Okay. So just so you know, show me a yes.
Show me a yes. There you go.
Show me a no.
Yeah. Show me a no.
All right. Yep. What was the first question?
So has the U.S. military had a presence in outer space for more than 30 years? Yes. Okay. Yes. Let's see. You guys have any good questions? I would join the Space Force if I didn't know better. That sounds like so much fun to me. I would love to be a little space cadet. The uniforms are probably super cute. I'm just kidding. It would be, I think, of Starship Troopers, which is one of my absolutely all-time favorite movies. I effing love Starship Troopers, and I wish I could be in mobile infantry. You would definitely be in the fleet. You would be a pilot.
Totally, that's true.
Yeah. Yeah, I would be mobile infantry 100%.
Totally. All right. Let's just, real quick, Mars had KRS a little upset. Something that, I'll talk about this after we do these rods, because, man, these planets right now are completely doing some interesting things. Okay, so, and I will get into that at the end, but let's get with some questions first. Do you see any questions?
Yeah. Will the U.S. be under martial law within the next year? I would argue that at any given time, we are under martial law in various parts of the country. So we'd have to word that question kind of carefully.
Will the U.S. be under martial law within the next 3 years?
Nationally.
Maybe is the answer. Here they go. They're taking the easy way out. Hold on. I don't know if they were answering me that way. So will the U.S. be under martial law in the next 3 years? No.
Will cryptos take off again around July 9th, like Cliff High predicts?
What did yours say?
I haven't asked it yet. Hold on. July 9th?
Okay. Well, I don't think so. That's my opinion. Will cryptos take off July 9th, like Cliff High predicts? I think it's after September. I think right now, yours says yes.
Mine says yes, but it also did this thing to the side, they run parallel, which is like a maybe.
Maybe that's when they'll start increasing, is July 9th. Okay. But are they going to be like full-fledged woohoo? No, they'll probably drop again like this. I mean, look, I'm watching this market. My I'm watching it stressed out just as everybody else. Not really stressed, but annoyed. Put it that way. All right. Ask if the sun is artificial. Is the sun artificial? That was a fast no.
Yeah, no, I don't think that it's artificial. I think it has functions that we don't understand and that we're purposely kept in the dark of, in terms of what it actually does for the planet, for the body, for the rest of the system. But no, I certainly don't think that it's artificial.
Are the world space forces united with aliens allies?
I really think that this is where the next step of this war is because there are benevolent ETs that look very similar to you and me, Heidi. No, they are. I gotta be careful with what I say, but
no, maybe that's just us.
Well, my point is that there are benevolent ETs that are allied with benevolent pockets of resistances within the US military, namely the Marines, namely the Marine Corps. They are positive operatives. I think sometimes we call them the white hats. There are factions that we don't even know their names, and they are allied with benevolent ETs. But there are other very, very powerful alliances between malevolent bad ETs as well. And so the war is this power struggle in management, and space is the next level of that.
Okay, hold on. Do we live in a multiverse of torus fields?
Okay. Well, yeah.
Is the sun a dimensional gateway? I don't even know what that means.
Like a portal.
To what?
It's a fancy term for portal. But people are portals. Mirrors are portals. I mean, there are portals everywhere that you look. Energy portals. Your vagina is a portal. I mean, it is.
God, you're funny.
I'm just saying, it truly is. So there's portals everywhere on this planet.
Will you ask a series of questions and try to align the planets with chakras? Okay. You mean with the rods?
Would you ask a series of questions? Oh, so which planet has correlation to which chakra system?
Oh.
Yeah, I think that's what you meant. So for example, Mars would have domain over the sacral chakra, or Neptune have domain.
Know them. So like I'm not a chakra.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So that I'm sorry. I don't think we're gonna get to answer that question.
We might not be able to do that one next time.
Yeah. That's kind of that's a really in depth like.
Okay. So wait. Do you think we are due for another Roswell type incident?
Absolutely.
There's going to be another Roswell type incident.
Are we due for another Roswell type incident? Yes. And I'll tell you the reason why. Either accidentally or by design, we are due for that kind of shock to the collective, where all of a sudden, they introduce things one day, and then 2 weeks later, everybody looks around and realizes that they are now desensitized to that issue, whether it be, this whole thing with gender fluidity and, all of these things that used to be very taboo are now suddenly so openly spoken about, including, and I think aliens is next. I mean, they're going to be like, oh, look, here's an alien. They may even introduce an alien, be like, his name's Bob. And he's just like you and me, or something weird.
Oh, okay. Is the Earth the center of the universe?
Is the Earth the center of the universe? Yeah, who asked that question?
I don't know, but it's a no. Are the poles going to flip in the next 2 years?
The poles are constantly flipping, I think. And there's like 1 million poles.
Oh. So, will alien disclosure be released by the end of the year? I don't think so.
Well, that's the thing, is like disclosure. People are waiting for their government or their elected officials to tell them what they can easily verify for themselves with some research. So, I mean, if you're waiting for somebody in a suit to stand on a podium and admit to you that aliens are real, it's already happened. There have been many meetings in high places that we have footage of, both audio and visual footage of people admitting that these things exist. So disclosure has already happened. If you haven't, taken the initiative to look into it for yourself and validated for yourself that disclosure has already happened and these things exist, I mean, that's a personal choice. Personal disclosure is a thing. Global disclosure is not. We're never, the only time that our officials are going to stand on a podium publicly, like on any mainstream network, and tell us that aliens are real, that's a big red flag. I don't want to hear anything from CNN or Fox News or MSNBC about aliens. Run a million miles away, because they are lying to you, whatever it is. Whether it's 9 truths and a lie, it's bogus. Don't listen.
Like I say, I'll start talking about aliens seriously when I see one walks through this door.
Careful what you wish for.
I hope one walks through my door. That would be exciting.
That would be fun.
I'd end up leaving with them. All right. So will Litecoin be
get their birth time?
Will Litecoin be over $5,000 by the end of the year? No, I don't think so. No. Sorry, guys. I don't think so. I think that's maybe next year. I don't even want to talk about Bitcoin and Litecoin right now, because I have my own thoughts right now.
Right.
I really do think it's controlled. I think the government, I hate to say this, guys, and I know nobody wants to hear this, but just how the prices have fluctuated and everything, I do believe that this was, and who's the guy, Jenny, the guy that was molested, he was a big banker in Sweden. What's that guy's name? You know who I'm talking about?
Oh,
all over the place.
Well, wait, was he molested? He was asked to.
Yeah, but he was abused too as a child, because I've watched a lot of his interviews.
Yeah, he was a Belgian guy, right?
Yes. So he said, somebody asked him about cryptocurrency on a recent thing and said, did the NSA or whatever invent cryptocurrency? And he was like, I'll just tell you, the idea was invented like XXX years ago. So, not just saying from that, but my point is, I do believe that, yes, maybe it had different intentions, whatever. But like I said, the government, the elites, deep state, whatever you want to call it, is never going to kick out the bans and allow cryptocurrency to change the world unless they are they are this it's like the new stock.
Right.
That's just my opinion on it. I've always felt that way. I know everybody wants to believe, oh, it's this thing. No, I think that's what they tried to get everybody to do, because here's the deal. If they would have said, all right, we're going to change currencies, everybody has to download these apps and start using these blockchains, like people would have been like, what the hell are you talking about? What do you mean? Like, I just started putting checks in an ATM, or I've never even put a check in the ATM. Like, I just started taking pictures of checks. So it's just to get people to get all on board on it. I think it's a big process. So it's that's just my opinion. I know people I'm going to receive some backlash from that, but it is what it is.
I've said from the get-go, I mean, put aside the fact that I'm not a financially minded person. Like I'm not an economically, well-versed individual whatsoever. However, my aversion, my knee-jerk intuitive aversion to getting super, super excited about it has a lot to do with the fact that we know that this kind of, free, this open market where there's really no rules, no regulations, it's only a matter of time before it's just jumped on. I mean, it's kind of common sense. And I've always thought that it was unpredictable.
But here's the deal with it. Okay. It's like when you buy Apple stock when it was first comes out at, 20 cents. So the point is, it's still a great investment. If you're into that, you're still going to make money from it. It's still the people that have bought into it still have made money from it. And it is still, it's not tanked. It's still in 1 year, still crazy amounts of doubled of what it used to be. So just wait. You got to wait it out. And but I don't believe like it's going to be this like secret money thing that everybody thinks. I just don't. It's going to be controlled, it's going to be regulated, and it is what it is. Period. End of story. Yeah.
I mean, and one of the things that makes me super nervous about cryptos is that we're moving from obviously the dead archaic fiat currency, which is paper money that's, you know, intrinsically pretty much worthless now. The gold standard's out the window. Now all of our monetary data is all in the form of numbers on a computer, which can be controlled remotely easily. If you have an enemy that's very powerful, such as deep state operative of some kind that has, you know, hands in the capability to mess with your, and the motive to mess with your finances, all it would take is for somebody to be able to hack that system and control it remotely. This might seem far-fetched, this might seem down, you know, like something down the road, but there is no safe monetary system. There is no foolproof, bulletproof monetary system. That's just what I believe, but also, folks, take into consideration the fact that, again, I am not, you know, I'm not an authority on that at all. That's literally just my common sense chiming in, saying there's something, you know, not 100% kosher about this.
Yeah. And let's just, regardless of what, I mean, we live in that Saturn matrix prison, in my opinion. So we are controlled by the matrix, however you want to look at it or think about it. Money rules everything. I mean, I don't care what anybody says when you say, oh, I'm not materialistic, unless you're, you know, living in, you know, the Himalayas and you're a monk, okay, or you're a priest, or live in an ashram, okay, you need money to survive. I mean, I believe you do, to live, eat, talk, breathe, you know, that's, you do. I mean, you don't really 100%, but I mean, I'm sure you could work your ways around it. But in this life, what we signed up for, money is important. Now, is it the most important thing in the world? No. Does money buy you happiness? No. But you need it to be free, to do what you want to do. So the people that, you know, I don't know. It's just interesting.
It is. And this whole thing is moving, okay? It's an ever evolving animal. And so I tend to have reservations about making any kind of predictions for clients regarding cryptocurrency. And I'll tell you, I get it all the time. I do the very, very best I can. But like everything that we do here, folks, is for entertainment purposes only. Legally, we have to say that. So, and especially when it comes to people's, you know, personal finances, their business finances, you really, really want to err on the side of caution, and understand that no amount of divination, whether it be tarot, astrology, or rods, nothing, pendulum, nothing, tea leaves, nothing will 100% predict a future, because the future, in my opinion, is unwritten. So free will and choice can override everything.
And here's another thing. And if you think that you can get every answer from like astrology or tarot, it's just not the case. Because for you, like, that's why I never play God, right? I never give people answers that I'm like, oh yeah, that's going to happen to you, right? Because realistically, if your karma and your karmic cycle does not want that to happen, or you screw something up, because I do believe you can manifest karma like in this life now as well. So actions that you perform, things that you do, can change courses in your life, decisions that you make. So you have to, yes, your chart's a certain way, but you know, when somebody says, oh, this is going to happen to you at this, and then it doesn't, you know, that's when people get all bent out of shape. If I got bent out of shape every reading I ever had, like thousands of them, I would have, you know, been the saddest in the world. Like, I mean, you can't take it personally, because sometimes it wouldn't have put me to here. If I had all these wonderful readings and all these things that people told me all the answers that I wanted to hear, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to Jenny, and I have met Jenny and Rex and everybody, having a YouTube channel and giving readings, period.
Mm-hmm. It's true. It's totally true. And, you know, one of the great things about tarot, and astrology, various forms of divination as well, is that they can reflect to us things that you might not see clearly, and various forces that are at work. but it can't predict your future, okay? Because, the future can change on a dime. You make one choice. There's a movie about it called Minority Report, what is one example of this sort of precognition technology where no matter how sophisticated their ability to predict the future was, at the end of the day, moment by moment, minute by minute, it all comes down to your conscious thought and your conscious choice. Your free will cannot be overridden. What it can, your free will can certainly be manipulated, which is what we see taking place right now. And people make choices based on emotions, which is unfortunately very incorrect. So you're going to see me looping right back to the whole issue of immigration and the border and everything like that. But, Heidi.
What else? Do we have any more good questions? Let's see.
There were some really good. I saw a couple questions here about Planet X or Nibiru, which I really don't. I have a hard time like even listening to some of that stuff sometimes because I'm like, oh God, gloom and doom. Like, who knows? But anyway, I think the question was, does NASA know about Nibiru? My answer intuitively is that NASA invented Nibiru. They know about it for sure.
Does NASA know about Planet X?
Are they not moving? Oh God. I almost said does Nazi. Same thing. Does Nazi NASA know that Planet X exists? Yes.
I watched a YouTube video that Pursue of Happiness. She's actually one of the subscribers here. She's just very sweet, and you should find her channel. She posted something. It was like, this video is going to be deleted soon. It was 3 hours long, and I watched it about how like the whole banking system and everything was invented, and how the Nazis were invented, and how everything was invented. It goes down the whole line, and it was just like,
it really does. Yeah. There are, I know that there was that kind of ethnic cleansing that went on. Lots and lots of people were exterminated. But there is this really crazy side effect that resulted from it, whereas now nobody is allowed to question the Jews because of the tragedy of the Holocaust. And when I take people like George Soros, for example, who is an Ashkenazi Jew and as close to a parasite as one can get, he admittedly and proudly says that he sold out his fellow Jews early on to sort of get ahead, to get to the next level and earn trust and sort of move up in the ranks. So, again, the micro and the macro, this to me looks like, other people similar to George Soros would have that mentality where they are willing to sacrifice their own people, millions of Jews, to then later be able to claim this kind of authority or this kind of recognition of their pain for the next 100, 200 years. Do you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
It's kind of like this ultimate sacrifice. We're gonna, this horrible tragedy, and we're gonna play on people's emotions and have a monopoly on people's thoughts based on some horrible things that our people went through. So I mean,
okay, so this amnesia person, I think you guys overestimate the intelligence of deep state operatives. The forces of good are manifest in the revolution that is crypto. When the fiat complex collapses and you don't have crypto, good luck. Guess what? I have cryptocurrency. So I don't know if you were talking to me, but I just had to make that point real quick.
Yeah. Well, I will agree. One thing I will agree with that statement is that I think a lot of times we do overestimate the deep state. I mean, we have to understand that these people, your emotional IQ, your emotional intelligence, their emotional intelligence is obviously very, very low. And emotional IQ or emotional intelligence does correlate to cerebral capacity. So, they really are not thinking. I mean, certainly there are evil geniuses. There are cold inside, dead inside people that also function similar to the way a computer or calculator does. So there are genius people that are heartless. However, in the matter of the deep state, where at the very root and heart of it, we have dark occultists, they are still dependent on fluids, bodily fluids, such as blood and semen and DNA, in order to create to enact changes. That's what do you laughing?
Somebody wrote, can you ask if Hillary can do one yoga pose? Oh, can you? That's so funny.
I'm
no,
not.
I will. I'll ask that. I'll ask that. All right, that was funny as hell. Okay. Can Hillary even do one yoga pose?
No.
That was a freaking fast no, too.
She would probably like self-combust if she got into yoga at all. That would require a mind-body connection of which she lacks.
God, I can't stand her. Like, okay, let's just say if you want some entertainment purposes and you want to just laugh, what you need to do, go watch the Secretary of State's Twitter. Oh my God, he is so funny. The shit that he said, the Secretary of State, he is so funny. Like, I'm telling you, he entertains me. Every morning when I look at the Twitter feeds, I just laugh. Okay, so Hillary decides to go and post something with all the children and blah, blah, blah. And you want another laugh, go read when she makes a post, all the comments. Like,
oh my God, nobody gives her any love.
It is so great. No, you get a few, but there's like one nice person for every 100,000 horrible. Like this stuff that people say is just the funniest thing. Everybody needs to go watch it. Don't follow her, but just go watch it.
No, it is hysterical. I mean, so much so to where my mind now, I'm thinking that all of these people are in some form AI, or at least working very closely with various AI programs that are interfacing with the population and extracting from us all of this emotional energy, this mental energy. I cannot tell you how long, personally, admittedly, how many hours I have spent thinking about Hillary Clinton and John Podesta and the things that they've done and the things that they're saying and the things that they're talking about. So, you know, and then I'm like, wow, that seems so unproductive. And it almost seems designed that way, that people are so upset by her and so triggered by her that, you know, in some ways they're winning because we're so focused on her. Even though she's full of crap, we're still talking about her. And, you know, and that's why I think a lot of what's going on right now is so contrived, and it's designed to pull us in this direction. We hear a news story, everybody runs in that direction to cover it. Even on the alternative media cycles, I'm guilty of it too. I'm talking about immigration all of a sudden, never talked about it before in my 29 years of life, but suddenly I am, because they're, you know, it's all over the news and I have thoughts on it. So, you know, this is kind of how the whole structure works, is they tell us what to get excited about, who to get mad at, who to love, who to hate, that sort of thing. So I just invite people to ask themselves these questions and, you know.
What do you say? Okay, I'm going to give a quick, so just if you're interested in purchasing these rods, you email my dad, bill@pagosiexcavation.com.
Heidi, I have these leather.
Punk. What did you just say?
Oh God.
Don't get on my channel and troll me. Sorry, buddy. You're going to be removed. Started like this. Anyway.
No, I love this. You got to do this. You say, you can buy
these. What did I say? I'm like, yeah, these rods, and then I hide them. Oh my God, Jenny, that was so funny.
Hysterical.
Okay, so
I think that was so fun. I want to do that again.
No.
I really want to go to this
this
compound party.
I know, we're having a huge compound party at my house.
I was invited, but I cannot.
Jenny was invited.
Sorry, I got an invite.
Yeah. So where I live is called the compound. Speaking of the compound, so it's a very interesting place. It's on the water. This woman took these homes and did something with them, and so there's apartments there, and we're very close, and blah blah blah. Well, my neighbor has a big party for autism, and a big fundraiser, and it really it's good, it's fun, but it's a lot of fun. I mean, we have, I'm not going to go there right now. So we'll just leave it at that. But I don't want to give too much information. You never know. Somebody might like, just never know. All right. Couple things. Transits. Okay. So today, as of today, Mars stops in the sky, right? Or Mars is about to go retrograde. And let's just say this is very, very intense time. We've been talking about this. I've been talking about it for, many months now, that this summer is just a very intense summer. Like if you think the past few months were intense, just so everybody knows, it's about to get a hell of a lot more intense. All right. With that said, I'm telling you this because I can see it within my friends, within my like people that I communicate with, people that I work, there's a lot of things going on. Okay. And I'm just going to say this if I didn't tell you this, I would feel like I didn't give you the warning. So you need to be cautious on the road, accidents, fires,
break-ins. I got robbed last week.
Right. Anger, temper, fights, battles. You're going to regret things. Like there is. So Mars, okay, and K2 conjunct, you have to understand. It's not like this, like fun, fuzzy feeling. It's anger. I have this in my chart. I dealt with this my entire life. When I get pissed, I get pissed. Watch out. I mean, that's just me. All right. So I'm used to this. The 9/11 terrorist attacks happened with Mars and K2 were exact conjunct. Okay. It brings out a lot of hidden things. So people are going to find themselves figuring out information that, they didn't necessarily know about before, that is going to catch them off guard. Okay. Just there's a lot of things that are going to come up. Lots of traumatic events. Not in addition to that, we have Saturn retrograde. We have Jupiter retrograde. Mercury's about to go retrograde. I mean, I can't even explain to you how much commotion that's like. And then we have Mars conjunct K2. So everybody just needs to like shut your curling irons off, shut your straighteners off. Don't leave your car doors unlocked. Don't drive like a maniac. Watch out on the road. Don't drink and drive. Don't do, you just have to be very cautious because you really, really, really can.
Things can happen quickly. And we're in an astrological environment that lends itself really well to these. It's unstable, it's volatile. So that's when things are really quick. Like you light a match and it's just going to go up. That's what the environment feels like during that kind of a transit. Last week, so much stuff happened that I couldn't have prepared for. I got my window smashed and things stolen from me. And I also found out that my birth time.
Oh, holy shit. That's one for the books.
It was a crisis. We had a crisis. It turns out that Heidi, all this time, I had given her the incorrect birth time of my own. So, yeah, that was interesting. That was kind of like that was a little bit traumatizing for both of us. Like, who are you? Who are you? I don't know you at all. But so lots of unexpected changes. My moon is still in Ardra, I believe.
It is, yes. Okay. And and another thing to just know that when other people, like if you watch this, you're aware, right? And if you know astrology, you're aware of what's about to happen. And the transits, and you can be cautious about things, and you can be awake about things. That's what I think awake is. Being awake is just like paying attention to things too. So when you're aware of these things, like when somebody snaps at you or flips out at you, you can understand, okay, maybe they just don't understand what's going on in the system, right? So you can not take it so personally or offensively. Like I've noticed that I actually do a lot better in crazy transits. When everybody else is like smooth sailing, that's when
Heidi loves the pressure. No, Heidi works best when there's a little bit of stress involved. Absolutely. She's wired that way.
Yes. And it's now, don't get me wrong, I burn out. But then I'm like still moving. I don't ever stop. Like it's nonstop. But just be cautious and take into consideration that if somebody says something really shitty to you, that are really hurtful that maybe they just didn't mean it, because Mars in K2 doesn't have a head. He doesn't care, right? He can't see. So when people that have this trigger, Mars and K2 in their chart, in a not a happy house like it is in my chart, it's in a happy place. It's in Scorpio. When it's in, when it's in somebody's chart, in, they have Mars and K2 conjunct, or this is hitting their moon or something, this is tough for them because they're not thinking correctly. Their thoughts, their actions are being 100% just like K2 doesn't care. Mars is, your strength, your ambition, your courage, yes, but it's also military, soldiers, law enforcement, commander. It's Mars, it's like fire, weapons, it's blood, enemy. I mean, there's so many things for Mars. So just be very cautious and, try to make the best of it. So Jenny, do you mind? Let's do like a couple cards for the next few days, just for everybody until the end of the month, and what we can give some advice if you watch this.
Sure.
Real quick. We don't have to do all the elements, just pull a few.
So instead, what I feel like I want to do right now, sorry about that sound on my computer.
No.
So what I want to do is pull some cards that are going to reflect to us the environment, not so much how people are going to be, this isn't for people in terms of their personalities and things like that. I want to look at what you can expect to be happening externally. So the things around you, the environment around you, just to give everybody an idea of, how they should be acting internally, what their mental processes should be like in order to best, cope and deal with the external influences. So that's what I'm going to do. Is I'm going to look at, a general theme, a general flavor for the next, do you want to do 2 weeks? We'll keep it kind of short term because we're just,
I was saying until the end of the month, but.
Well, it's July. It's the end of
okay.
June.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll do it for the next week.
Yeah. Okay. We'll keep it short term. I like short term. I'm going to look at political, social.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, I'm going to look at political, do 2 cards for the political flavor, 2 cards for the social media, internet flavor.
Yeah. All right. So you start it and tell me, then I'll just kind of go with it.
Okay. Two sevens. 2 sevens. That's transition. It's actually really magic. This is one of those things where there's so many things up in the air right now. There are so many decisions. The 7 of discs, the 7 of swords. So I have failure and futility here in the political spectrum. But that's, again, there's a war taking place. There's a lot of theft. There's a lot of connivery taking place behind the scenes. So let me see what we're actually going to be able to view via social media and mainstream media, because it's through those funnels that we are fed.
I have the 6 of swords, and this card, like when I see this, there's like a woman, it looks like a child on a boat,
Yeah, that's moving away from something, like moving on, moving away. 6 of swords. I have 7 of swords.
And then I have the 3 of wands.
Enterprise, expansion.
And
integrity, no compromises.
Like that's, it doesn't look bad. So that looks like it's okay. It looks like it has a lot to do with finances too going on, what's about to happen in the next few weeks.
Well, on a sort of, the level of assets, because when it comes to political parties, political bodies, they're only as powerful as their assets and their money. Okay. And so the reputation, now people are getting skewed left and right, but public opinion doesn't really matter. They care mostly about, the strongholds that they have. And 2 sevens indicate to me a huge loss And the Seven of Swords, the Seven of Discs is a combination. This creates a very desperate energy. You know, when you're Seven of Discs has a lot to do with material indecision in between jobs or really stressed about money. And when you have the Seven of Swords, that's like, what are you going to do to survive? So I'm getting survival mode. What is that? Who is that?
This is a different deck. Hold on.
It's really pretty. Who is that? I can't see. Looks like Aleister Crowley.
Pluto.
Oh, okay.
But it says Judgment.
Pluto is volatile, isn't he? All about upheavals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Judgment. That makes sense. All right. So now I want to take a look at social media.
Freaking clowns.
We got a clown?
No. I said freaking clowns. What do you mean by social media? Like, you mean what's out?
I mean like all of the Twitter, Facebook, all of the outlets that we're really accustomed to seeing, just what the word is, what the buzz is. And primarily liberal media too.
Ready? This is so funny. 5 of Wands.
Strife and conflict, of course. Battle.
Surprise. That's no surprise.
Yeah.
That's mine.
Yes.
It's only for a week, so just.
Well, I mean, when was the last time there's been peace on social media? It's been years of warfare.
Oh, yeah. I need new cards. These cards are getting like moist, like they're not shuffling. They are. They're
moist. It's
not shuffling good.
I hear you. All right, social media.
7 of Cups upright or reversed.
Oh my God. 7 of Cups upright.
No, mine's reversed actually.
Oh. Well, that's okay. Because here my 7 of Cups is next to a sword card, which in my deck, this is my version of a reversal. So in this deck, we don't do reversals, we do dignities. So a card's definition is very much influenced by the cards that surround it. In this case, the cups are feminine and the swords are masculine, and those change the meaning of each other. Just these two being together next to each other changes the individual meaning, as opposed to if this was surrounded by sword cards and this was surrounded by cup cards. So what this looks like to me is this huge point of like confrontation where emotional opinions and emotional forces meet facts and logic, and where those two things just do not add up. People are not happy at all about the fact that their ideas, that their emotional opinions of things are not lining up with the actual facts. People really want to get excited and make a big deal about these various social injustices when they're just distractions, and they don't like to be faced with that reality. Mm-hmm. So, and that's really what I'm getting. Also, I have the Lovers and the Prince of Cups. So again, this looks to me like a kind of exploitation of people's natural desire to be emotional and to care and to have compassion. We also could be looking at a couple, some kind of a high profile couple going through some stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, when are we not? When is there not a high profile divorce or feud or something like that?
One more.
Hi, Trisha.
Hi, Trisha. Check out Trisha's channel, Trisha G, numerologist.
Oh, I wanted to say, so folks, I'm actually going to be a guest on Jeffrey Darty's channel tomorrow, along with his lovely lady, Sandra. And we're going to be discussing, I believe, twin flames, or, the phenomenon sometimes known as twin flames, karmic relationships. And we'll see where that conversation goes. So tune in to his channel tomorrow to see us. We haven't locked in a time yet, but we're for sure doing it. So that'll be fun.
Pulled this 7 of Swords, but look what's on it.
Again?
A different deck.
A white rabbit.
Yeah. I don't know. There we go. Okay, so what's the next one are we looking at?
Well, the 7 of Swords with the rabbit. To me, that feels like the upper hand, gaining the upper hand in some real sly way. The 7 of Swords is sneaky, very, very sneaky, deception.
Gemini and then Mercury. Lepus, it says on here. Lepus, it must be a constellation.
That's weird.
Okay,
Those
so
cool cards though.
next is going to be, yes, base force. Next, did you say, what did you say? What do we
Well, I already looked at political. It looks like there's just a huge,
All
a
right,
huge
so
clash, desperation.
how the collective consciousness is going to feel. How about that? And then the best advice we can give. So, okay.
I'm gonna look at the Americans. Because this is my country. We live here, so I want to look at what the American people is.
5 of Wands again.
Again, yeah.
Yes, big time. Oh, lepus is Latin for rabbit. Thanks.
Oh, thank you.
What is that? People know so much stuff. It's crazy.
It's really cool.
It is crazy though. Like when you read some of the, like I read all my chats and stuff, and when you read through people's comments, the stuff that people know is just like pretty amazing.
No, it really is. All right.
Okay, so oh yeah, 5 of Swords reversed. I mean, it's just not good. Like there's just like I said, this is I can't tell you like, and that it would have surprised me if I would have pulled like the Lovers. Okay, let's just leave it at that because of the transits. I mean, there's no way with what transiting right now and for the next 2 months that things are going to be like easy breezy and things are going to be happy. There's just it's not possible. I mean, just not.
So what I wanted to do was kind of hone in and get a specific reflection of the American collective and what we can experience the next week or so. I have a feminine and her counterpart. I have the Queen of Cups and the Knight of Swords, which to me are indicating, the masculine energy in this country as it is right now, and the feminine energy. The feminine energy here anchored very deeply in an emotional place, from an emotional point of view, which is why they like to play on people's emotions, the SJWs and all this virtue signaling, get mad about manufactured events and things like that. And then we have the Knight of Swords, which is not the most well dignified of the male cards. So if he's representing the masculine collective right now, this is about hoarding information, being secretive, being sneaky, not being honest with yourself. So I think honestly, and then I have the law card, the adjustment card, and the Two of Swords, which is very much about decisions and that stalemate energy, where we've kind of come to a crossroads here. What do you have?
All right, back to look, Uranus, but back to the Pluto reversed, and it's the Judgment. So how I look at that is it's interesting how when you look at the outer planets, I think you really need to look at the collective with the outer planets. That's how they really can show you things, and that's how I've been kind of using them. And let's just talk about Uranus is unexpected, unforeseen events that makes people act irrationally. It's electrocutions, it's accidents, it's crazy. Okay, now there's a lot of positive things, but when you pull it with all these other crazy cards, and then the Pluto, the Judgment card again, reversed. I mean, it just not trying to sit here and scare people, but watch out for the next 2 weeks, or next week, just be very cautious because there's going to be unexpected events and you don't want to make something you make any mistakes you really regret.
The law card, it's interesting because I was looking to see, how the American people were going to be, affected by what comes this next week. And the law card, which so often is about justice, it's not necessarily about the control structure. That would be the emperor. That would be the more, Saturn based, that grid, okay, the patriarchy. But this card is more about fairness. And so we may be looking at people sort of meeting themselves and internalizing what they're seeing take place externally and make those decisions for themselves about what's moral and what's not, and I think that's really what it comes down to ultimately is we're not all going to agree on what's acceptable and what's not on a grand scale. We have to make those decisions for ourselves personally and then live our lives according to our own personal code. Of course, there should be guidelines like nobody should hurt children, prey on children. And that's what the left is proposing that we we bypass that. Oh no, kids can consent. No problem. We can have sex with animals. No problem. So this degeneracy campaign that takes place, you know, that's just I think we can expect to see more of that. And then people having a hard time coping with what's acceptable, what's politically correct. Is it bad to judge people? Oh, I don't want to be a bigot because I think that, Tony next door who has sex with, a donkey every other weekend. I don't want to judge him for living his life. That's his life. Are you a bigot? You some kind of like, how are you going to be so judgmental? That sort of thing.
Yeah.
Sorry for my very crude example.
No. Okay. I just pulled a bunch of cards and I'm going to say, because this is like the card. This is my card because channel 27, card 27, it's reversed. Okay. And this is a girl walking away. So I'm giving some advice for whoever this means something to. Some people might relate, some people might not. Take this as this could have to do with any situation in your life. So this card reverse signals that you may be feeling very stuck in some present situation or location. There may be a job that doesn't serve you anymore, yet out of habit or fear, you allow yourself to stay when it might be healthier to consider walking away. Habit and feeling familiar are compelling forces, often causing people to ignore their intuition and dishonor their genuine feelings. This is a time of honest investigation. Consider all the factors in the present situation. Perhaps the timing isn't quite right, and there may be some purpose in staying a little while longer. Don't deceive yourself about your motivations. However, fear-based decisions don't often work out in your highest interests. You may be stuck in a long-term personal habit or unhealthy pattern. Be aware that you always have the option and the responsibility to let go of any thought or behavior that no longer honors you. Whenever you walk away from negativity, you move forward to greater happiness. And I can't say I know it's so easier said than done, but look, if no relationship's done, walk away. If having a broken heart's done, and you're ready to change, this is a time with all these retrograde planets to redoing things, changing your ways of acting, changing things to make a better you. It doesn't always have to be bad. Okay. People with money, if people that are worrying about money, there's a woman holding a coin, money's coming, be patient, relax. This is just a weird time in the fall. Like this card comes up every time we talk about money in the fall, money. And some people need to just really open up to the other realms, psychic, open up your intuition, stop blocking it. Because this is a great time to grow, to change, to really, but there are going to be some hostilities. Nothing comes easy, guys. And we all know that. So good relationships don't come easy. Good success doesn't come easy. So just know that, be patient, but it's time. Sometimes people block themselves just from habits, fear, patterns, worry, self-doubt. And that's all I have to say for this week. Jenny, what about you? Anything?
Well, yeah, I mean, I said my whole thing about how I think that people are going to be forced, sort of pushed further and further into a corner about what's acceptable in society, and this whole thing with guilt and shame, and having to be sorry that you have judgments, that you have opinions, that now suddenly if you're not okay with sex with a transgendered person, if that's not something that you personally want to do, you're now looked at as some kind of a bigot, or somebody that has some low moral, or is too judgmental, and now this is a bad thing. Well, folks, the facts of the matter is that as individuals, we have every right to make decisions for ourselves based on what we consider acceptable in our reality. And the problem that we see is this huge campaign of degeneracy coming from the left that wants to further erode the collective moral compass of people. And so, I don't judge people's lifestyles because it's their lifestyles. But I will not accept that in my personal reality. You know what I mean? I think that, people being judgmental of other people, I think it's a myth. We have judgments for a reason. We have our own moral codes for a reason. So, they can try to normalize pedophilia. They can try to define the difference between child abusers and pedophilia, which is actually a thing now. They're trying to say that not all pedophiles are child abusers. Child abusers are in and of themselves, right? So that pedophilia is a sexual orientation and should be identified and accepted as such. This is really, really where they're going. So, you know, moving forward, people are really going to have to decide, is this okay with me? Is this okay for my family, for my community, that sort of thing? And that really is going to continue to polarize people, the black versus white, you know, the immigration issues, the religious issues. The Five of Wands comes up repeatedly when we're talking about the American collective, because there are so many campaigns running to keep us at war with each other over, you know, various issues. So I think the most important thing that people can do is get to know yourself. And really, it's okay to really take time away from all of that, turn off, you know, social media, turn off the news for a while, and really reevaluate what you want in your own life. It's okay if you have views that are looked at as being, you know, too narrow or too boxed in. If you're straight as an arrow and there's certain things you don't want to drink, you don't want to smoke, you don't like wild sex parties, fine. You know, that's absolutely okay. That's your reality. That's your choice. So I mean, that's really what I'm thinking. I think we're heading for a kind of moral, I mean, we're in the middle of a moral crisis, but now we really need to heavily evaluate what is going on and what's been going on and what we're going to be okay with taking place. Do you know what I mean, Heidi?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do. I think a lot of so much of the separation, and I just watched the Leo King who just got back from a trip, and he said, you know, he just, and I love watching him, quite honestly, because he's so brutally honest. I mean, anybody that tells the truth and tells the how they really feel right now, and you know, there is a lot of people that are trying to misdirect people's energy, okay, in a lot of circumstances because they are out of sorts and out of whack, and they're losing control. Okay,
Yeah.
so when somebody loses control, guards come up, false accusation. How this is like how people run, how people
Projection,
yeah.
all the whole nine.
So right now too, you know, with everybody being called out and all this stuff coming to fruition, there's a lot of like, you know, they could say that we're dividing everybody, and they are dividing everybody. And then pretty soon, then we're going to have some more horrible events because, you know, they got to show that. I mean, this is what we live in. Okay. So we can choose to be negative, follow all the nonsense, get involved, go protest and riot and do all this stupid shit that waste your time. You might as well, why don't you just go open up an astrology book and start researching astrology or something that's going to help better yourself? Jenny made an excellent point. When you know yourself, if you are comfortable and you are understand who you are, what makes you tick, how you react, how you act, what you're supposed to be doing, you won't give two flying fucks about anything else that goes on. Trust me.
It's true.
Unless you're doing it to research to show people something. Like you won't give two shits. It's not going to affect your day. It's not going to make or break your day. You're not going to care. Period. Know yourself. Learn what you're supposed to be doing. The reason why people are so lost and confused and crazy is because they're lost. They're not happy where they are in their lives. That's what it is. I've been there a lot. Okay. So I'm not sitting here saying you watch my story. If you're new, watch my stories, watch my videos. You'll see. I tell it like it is. I'm an open book. There's nothing that I would say that I regret doing. And I'm sure Jenny can vouch to this too. Like we've made mistakes. We've made mistakes on here. We're like, oh shit, did we say that? You know, whatever. It is what it is. But
take it down.
one thing about us is this is as real as you'll ever see. Like Jenny and I are as real as they get.
We really are. All flaws and imperfections, all of it. It's just the way that you got to be now to deal with everything that's going on. Is just to be really honest with yourself and honest with other people. I mean, obviously, remain secretive about personal issues. You don't have to stand on your soapbox and tell everybody, you know, all about yourself if that's not your thing. But you know, defining what is acceptable for you and what you'll what you're okay with and what you're not okay with. They try to make this out as if this is somehow a bad thing, somehow a limiting thing. It's really not. We all have our own paths, and that's okay. I mean, you know, my dad, deepstate.com, great guy, hasn't had a smoke or a drink a day in his entire life. But on the same side, he has employment with the evil empire. So it's like he won't drink or smoke, but he's also, you know, works for various intelligence agencies. So, you know, again, that's what's acceptable to him in his reality is he wouldn't smoke or drink or do drugs. But, you know, so it's kind of like everybody is, you know, we are who we are.
You gotta you know what? We are who we are. And if I just swear, piss off. Don't sit here and complain about it.
Who has a problem with that?
Somebody's like, can we cover all the cuss words? Yeah, we will. We can cover them. I think I did. So there's your answer. Okay. Alrighty. So thanks for watching, guys. Yes. Make sure you subscribe to Jenny's channel to get a reading with her, jennymoonstone.com. I am going to start getting back to people from the past 2 weeks that applied on my website. I have been so slammed with my job, so I can't even explain it to you. To make a long story short, you will hear from me soon. So yes, there's a 60-day wait. You'll get the price when I see people asking the price. You fill out the form on my website and I'll respond to you on there. Have a great week. Thanks for watching and stay safe. Let's just figure out how to end this.
Space Force.
Space Force. Oh, hold on.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.